Good afternoon, Don Jalbert here, Pace of Ownership Podcast. Listen, I just want to get into this real quick. It all matters. And I probably wrote the longest description I have in the Pace of Ownership Podcast. I'm going to go back and add all that detail into it. But just as a thing, it all matters. And you definitely need to take care of the details. So in the blog post from 10 years ago, and again, my foundation for Pace of Ownership Podcast is as an owner of Exhibit Associates, I want to make sure that we're holding true to these tenets of the pace of ownership that I've kind of developed. So I said, well, I've got these tenets, might as well share them with the world. So the tenets, I talked about faith and fitness over the last couple of days. I want to talk about how it all matters because it does all matter. It is important. But what is those examples? And in Afghanistan, I wrote about Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, Chad being the crew chief, Jimmy Johnson being one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time, how they made a decision, or Chad made a decision, which led to a 4 second longer pit stop than most of the competitors were having. And then when he went back out, he was back in traffic, which has caused a lot of air flowing around at 190 miles an hour. Aerodynamics is so key. Meanwhile, the people who only took two tires and got a shorter pit stop, instead of 14 seconds, spent 9 seconds, they came out in front. And so they had clean air and they were able to run faster. Jimmy Johnson was in the back. He was in dirty air. He had to make some moves to get through people. And 100 laps after that decision, so about 2 hours after that decision, something happened. Jimmy knew he had to get moving. It was go time, and he got into trouble, hit the wall, and that ruined his car. Well, it didn't ruin the car, but made it damaged enough so he couldn't go win the race, and it cost him his championship for that year. So I wrote about that. I wrote about also Apollo 12, SCE to AUX, and how they saved Apollo 12 because a mission controller remembered a screen from a year ago that said, I know what that is. I know how to fix it, and it was just a little button over someone's head in the Apollo capsule, SCE to aux. They clicked it, and because lightning had hit the Saturn V, it glitched the whole system by hitting this little tab. Everything came back on, and they were able to fly Apollo 12 to the moon and have the second successful landing on the moon back in 1969. So, so those little things. How many tires are put on? And SCE to aux. If that mission control did not know, if he was econ, electronics command or control, if he did not know about the SCE to aux, they probably would have aborted and the whole space thing would have been issued. And the questions about going to space would have been up in debate in the political and the public debate again. Now, let's go over to NASCAR. Jimmy Johnson still went on. He won 7 championships, but because of this one race in the fall where they took 4 tires instead of 2 tires. He got into an accident, cost him the race. So those are 2 things where very small details, it matters. And you need to track those. But if you track every little detail to the same amount of level, like I need a battery in my mouse. I don't care how much power is in that battery. I'll use that battery till it goes out, and then I'll go put a spare battery in because I got a spare battery. But on my phone or my computer, if the battery goes out, I've got to plug it in, and I'm down until it comes back up. Now I'll start running with either one as soon as there's power in it, but I watch my power a lot more consistently than I do on the battery in my mouse. So again, I track everything. When this goes out, I take care of it. When this gets low, I plug it in. So it's kind of interesting how that all happens and what you focus on, but you got to keep it simple. Out, change, low, plug in. I don't think about it constantly, but I'm aware of it. And there are other things that I'm aware. How many customers do I talk to? What's going on? Everything like that. Because you got to keep it simple. And the other blog post I tied to is about Taz and his security detail that kept my team safe in Afghanistan. Now, I had my own vehicle in Afghanistan, and I could drive around to certain places, and nobody really cared about my security. I had an up armored vehicle. Something funny about that in a minute. But I had an up armored vehicle, so it was safe from bullets in case I got shot at. Never got shot at. But if I went to a certain government facility or certain government facilities that the Afghans owned, I could not drive up there by myself. I was escorted by what they call move command. And so they would put me in an armored vehicle. I'd have to wear Kevlar, a helmet, and these guys would drive like you would not believe. They were real simple. I'm a driver. I'm going to use from point A to point B, and nobody's going to get in my way. And literally, the people of Afghanistan and Kabul knew not to get in the way, and literally they would go up on sidewalks. They didn't care. They were not going to get bogged down by traffic, and they did not give a shit. And everybody around in Kabul knew that when you saw these 3, 4 vehicle caravans of either up armored vehicles or up armored Suburbans, don't mess with them. Let them go. They're going to push you out of the way, and it sucks to be you. So the driver had a real simple task: point A to point B, let nothing get in the way. The guys on the security detail, who were heavily armored, if you go to the blog post I link into the detail about this episode of It All Matters of Pace of Ownership podcast. You'll see a picture of Taz, and I mean, he's loaded, he's ready to go. I mean, he multiple weapons on him, trains all the time, great shape. I never felt safer ever. And that is keeping it simple. Just like a bull rider, when the chute opens, their life gets real simple. Stay on the bull. Security, stay safe, come home. That's it. There's nothing else that mattered in Afghanistan. Everything you did on top of that was gravy. So it all matters, and you're going to need to focus on those details. So, what are your KPIs? How much is KPI? How much are you invoicing? How about your sales team? What are their KPIs? What is successful? Yeah, of course, closed sales and invoices count, but they've got to do the activity to get the invoicing. So, what are the KPIs? How many calls did they make? Do you track that? How many meetings did they have with customers? Do you track that? What is the most important metric that you follow when it comes to business development, when it comes to project management? It's all important, and you have to remember that. It all matters, but you need to be able to focus, because if you focus on every little detail with the same amount of concentration, battery in a mouse versus power in my phone, you'll go nuts and you'll get bogged down. You can't afford to get bogged down in details that don't matter, because I'll just get a new battery. It's right over there. And you know what? If I run out of batteries over there, there's a store 2 miles away. I'll say it's time for a break. Universe is telling me to go for a break, go get some batteries. So it all matters. I appreciate you following along on Pace of Ownership podcast. I was real quick, a lot of content in this. Again, what I'm trying to express here is the 10 tenets, the 10 foundational principles of Pace of Ownership podcast. What you need to focus on as an owner. So that's 3 down, 7 to go. Thank you for being here. Thank you for playing along. And we will talk to you later.